We are raised in a world that teaches us how to see, but not what we're actually looking at. School gives you the surface story, the wars with winners neatly drawn, the physics explained as though it's final, culture presented as if it's the end point of evolution. But the cracks are everywhere. The deeper you look, the faster it all falls apart. Reality gets strange the moment you stop nodding along to the mainstream script and start asking, what if the things that sound insane are actually real? And the things that sound safe are carefully engineered lies. It doesn't take much to start the unraveling. The moon landing footage looks more like a Hollywood set than science. The pyramids don't fit the timeline we're told. The CIA really did pour millions into psychic research. And modern medicine treats symptoms like a marketplace instead of addressing causes. Once you let in one anomaly, you realize they're all connected. They're not random. They're not random errors in the story. They're the story. When you stop dismissing what's been labeled as fringe, you see how fragile consensus reality really is. Take UFOs. For decades, the official position was nothing to see here. Pilots saw things, radar operators confirmed anomalies. Thousands of citizens reported craft doing impossible maneuvers, and yet anyone who spoke was ridiculed. Then suddenly in the 2020s, here we are. The Pentagon admits it's real. No apology, no reckoning, just a casual, yeah, we've been studying this. People forget the ridicule, but those who paid attention remember the decades of silence. Reality shifted overnight. The line between conspiracy and fact collapsed. That's what happens when you take off the filter. The truth doesn't just bend the narrative, it shatters it. And it's not just UAPs. Remote viewing, the supposed woo of psychics, was used in military programs for years. Declassified, you can read the files yourself. Ordinary people trained to perceive hidden objects thousands of miles away. And sometimes they got it right. Skeptics laugh, but intelligence agencies don't spend millions on things that don't work at all. Once you accept that consciousness isn't confined to the brain, the whole mechanistic worldview cracks. If the mind can reach across distance, then the mind is non-local. And if it's non-local, then death itself may be an illusion. And this is where the spiral begins. One discovery leads to another. One admission topples another pillar. Soon everything is up for question. History starts to look more like mythology, and mythology starts to look more like history. Ancient texts once dismissed as stories line up with modern discoveries. Flood myths across cultures echo geological data of cataclysm. The Great Pyramid encodes astronomical knowledge that shouldn't exist in the Bronze Age. You realize that the narrative of slow linear progress from caveman to civilization is just that, a narrative. What if advanced cultures rose and fell long before our textbooks began? What if we are living in amnesia, a civilization with selective memory? Accepting non-mainstream findings doesn't just change history, it changes you. Suddenly you're living in a universe that is alive with hidden meaning. Synchronicities stop being accidents and start being signals. Dreams are not random noise, but portals into another order of reality. Near-death experiences aren't hallucinations, but evidence of continuity. Even science, when read honestly, points in this direction. Quantum entanglement shows that particles separated by light years are still connected. Consciousness experiments hint that attention alters outcomes. They're the foundation of a world more mystical than any religion ever dared to admit. They're not just side notes. Of course, the mainstream scoffs, but that's the reflex of a system designed to maintain itself. Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance. Admit one truth and the dominoes fall. If UFOs are real, then governments lied. If psychic perception is real, then materialism is false. If history is false, then authority loses its script. The ridicule isn't protection against nonsense. It's protection against collapse. People cling to the mainstream not because it's true, because it's stable. To accept the alternative is to live without the comfort of consensus. And man, we love our tribes. That's why reality gets crazy quick. It's not that the fringe is unstable. It's that once you step into it, you lose the anchors you didn't realize were holding you in place. Suddenly anything is possible. And once anything is possible, everything has to be reevaluated. Governments may be staging events for decades. Secret programs may be generations ahead of what the public sees. Religions may be built on half truths, while occult traditions hold the real keys in plain sight. Even your own daily life begins to shift. The coincidences that follow you, the symbols you dream, the subtle nudges of intuition all take on a weight you can't ignore. The world becomes both terrifying and exhilarating. Terrifying because the comfort of being told this is how it is gone. Exhilarating because you're finally living in a real universe instead of a padded one. You stop being just a consumer of reality and become an explorer. You stop needing permission to believe what you see with your own eyes. And when you test it, when you practice meditation or remote viewing or simply trust the synchronicity, you find the evidence piles up. The crazy isn't crazy anymore. It's consistent. The irony is that mainstream culture borrows from this world constantly. Hollywood thrives on magic, psychic powers, ancient aliens, conspiracies, and hidden histories. They laugh at it in public and sell it back to you as fiction because they know deep down that it works. Magicians consult with occultists. CEOs hire intuition coaches. Intelligence agencies use psychics. Meanwhile, the average person is told to laugh and call it fantasy. The upper hand of reality is hidden in plain sight. If you keep going down this path, reality doesn't just expand, it transforms. You realize money is an invented game, time is a convention, laws are agreements, and society is a theater. Wars are staged, diseases are profited from, and freedom is scripted. Even your own sense of self, the ego, is a construct. And beneath it, consciousness is limitless. When you understand that the final veil isn't the government or history, but your own conditioned mind. Here's the twist, though. Once you embrace that, life doesn't fall apart, it comes together because you no longer need the mainstream to validate your existence. You see through the illusion, but you also see the beauty. You realize that being lied to doesn't erase truth. And remember, crazy is just the label they use for bigger than the box. And once you're outside the box, you're free. Humanfluence out.